Iceland's ongoing eruption technically has the potential to last for months, at which point it could eventually be open for tourism. While on or near the eruption site is not currently open to any form of visitation, the Reykjanes eruption is still surprisingly going strong. In fact, since we are currently on hour 119 of this eruption, we have now surpassed the combined duration of the prior 3 eruptions from the same volcano. And, although there is no certainty that this will occur, the possibility of a lengthy 2021 Vedur.is-like eruption is growing more and more likely. While the number of erupting vents during the last 72 hours has decreased from 9 to 7, a 220-meter-long fissure is still erupting molten rock at a rate of between 10 and 20 cubic meters per second. This eruption in the last 48 hours has actually remained at a constant rate and will continue to erupt as long as greater than 3 cubic meters per second of lava is emitted. Around 4.9 cubic meters per second is being input into the now not plugged magma chamber, which provided much of the initial 11 million cubic meters of molten rock for the ongoing eruption. More magma is entering than leaving this magma chamber, hence the ongoing uplift, but an interesting possibility exists if more than 3 cubic meters per second is leaving. If this were to be the case, the Reykjanes eruption could continue indefinitely for weeks or even months. Several constraints could end an eruption were this to be the case, such as the expected decline of magma into the magma chamber decreasing below 3 cubic meters per second 10 days from now, a temporary plug once again forming on the magma tunnel which runs to the east, or an expected complete cessation of new magma from the mantle into the existing magma chamber around May 31st. However, we clearly do not understand something crucial about the ongoing eruption. Even a low-end output estimate of 10 cubic meters per second of erupting lava is greater than the 4.9 cubic meters per second of magma being input into the system, so where is the other 5.1 cubic meters per second coming from? One possibility is that this material was being pulled from past failed magmatic intrusions and magma input into the 15-kilometer long dike which did not reach the surface between November 10th of 2023 and March 2nd of 2024. This has the potential to contain 110 million cubic meters of molten rock, which if it were to all be utilized in aiding the ongoing eruption could last for 84 to 249 days. Possibility 2 is that molten rock is now being additionally pulled from a secondary magma chamber or direct mantle source which we have yet to identify. Perhaps as further geochemistry data comes back, we will be able to figure out why this eruption is lasting for so long. What limited analysis of lava samples did show was a slightly lower but very similar amount of magnesium oxide to the prior 3 Reykjanes eruptions, suggesting that either A. molten rock is originating from the same source, B. solidifying magma is being carried to the surface along with fresh material from the last 5 magmatic intrusions, or C. a combination of both. Geochemistry also showed unusually low values of sulfur in the lava compared to the glass which formed deep underground, suggesting that around 85% of sulfur had already escaped into the atmosphere or other portions of the crust through degassing, largely as sulfur dioxide. This indicates that the molten rock involved in the current eruption remained for a fairly long time passively degassing underground. On the 3rd anniversary of the beginning of Vedur.is' famous 6-month-long eruption, we technically have an eruption that could last just as long. Although it probably won't last this long, the fact that this simple volcano is acting in an unpredictable way is quite fascinating. As a final note, lava flows haven't notably expanded during the last 48 hours.